You think the great white shark is scary, that's right. You think the bay crocodile is the most ferocious hunter, and that's right. You think killer whales are at the top of the food chain, and you are absolutely right. But I tell you, if these three creatures travel back 470 million years ago, I met today's protagonist, will do the same thing. That is to turn around and run desperately. Because there were no sharks at all, no crocodiles in that era. Even fish with jaws have not evolved yet. No creature in the entire ocean has the ability to hurt it in the slightest. It is 9 meters long, longer than a bus. Relying on dozens of tentacles, it ran amok in the Ordovician Ocean. 470 million years ago, it was the ceiling of that ocean. What's even more shocking is that scientists have found that it ruled the ocean 3 times longer than dinosaurs. And the reason why you can sit here and watch videos, it's because your ancestors were chased by it for hundreds of millions of years. Out of the spine, out of the limbs, out of the brain. It was really forced out step by step. It is no exaggeration to say that it is the oldest shaper of human civilization. He is also the last judge of that planet. It's called a cornerstone. Let me ask you a question first. If you were asked to design an ultimate predator, how would you do it? Faster speed, sharper teeth, larger body size? But the answer given by nature 470 million years ago silenced all scientists. It has no legs, no fins, and no ability to pursue. But he didn't need to chase, because the whole ocean will come to the door by itself. This is the most terrifying thing about cornerstones, not how strong it is. It doesn't require effort at all. Let's first take a look at what it looks like. Cornerstones belong to cephalopods. It is an ancient relative of today's squid, octopus, nautilus. But unlike those relatives who collapse softly, it has a straight, conical shell. The further back it gets, the thinner and more pointed. The largest individual shell itself is almost 6 meters long. What is the concept of 6 meters? You stand on the edge of its shell. At 1.7 meters tall, you can't even reach its mouth. And the mouth is where the story really begins. Dozens of tentacles stick out from there. Each one can independently sense the vibration of the water flow, the position of the prey, the rhythm of breathing. It doesn't need to look for you with its eyes. It senses you with its skin. And in the center of the tentacle is a mouth. Scientists describe it as a bite structure that can bite through steel plates of the same thickness. This is not a metaphor. This is a mechanical calculation based on fossil data. Then I'm going to tell you how it hunted. This detail subverts many people's imagination of ancient predators. It does not chase prey at any time. Its shell is too heavy and long. Forcing a pursuit will only put you in a difficult position, so it chose a smarter way, etc. It hovers itself over the edge of the reef. The shell body is embedded in the shadows. The tentacles hang down, gently fluttering with the ocean current. If you don't know what it is, you'd think it was just a few ordinary seaweeds. It is this disguise that has deceived countless prey. The most common creatures in the ocean at that time were trilobites. They're wrapped in a hard shell. It once lived on Earth for 300 million years. It is one of the most enduring lives in history, but it has a deadly habit. Likes to forage along the reef walls. So the tragedy was staged again and again. The trilobite slowly crawled over. It feels like there are a few seaweed next to it. There was no alarm. Keep going. The next second, the tentacles pop out like springs, entangled. Not one. There are more than a dozen. At the same time, the hard shell of the trilobite is meaningless at the moment, because the cornerstone's mouth does not need to break it from the outside. It directly rolls the whole prey in. The cornerstone cuts in from the junction of the soft tissue, precise and powerful, clean and neat. The entire hunt takes no more than 5 seconds. After eating, the shell and stumps are scattered around the reef. The cornerstone of the house returns to peace. Start waiting again. But right next to this mess, there is always a little thing that is secretly moving. This creature is called Orenda soft-shelled turtle. The body size is only a few centimeters. Dressed in thin bone armor, has a mouth that can never be closed. Anytime and anywhere with a surprised expression. Not at all aggressive. Their way of survival is to follow the cornerstones to pick up debris and gnaw on debris, living trembling in the shadow of the behemoth. If you look at this picture with a modern eye, you will find this little thing extremely pathetic. But I'll tell you now, you are the descendant of the little thing that picks up the scraps. Scientists found it is this kind of extremely weak and extremely embarrassing early fish. It later evolved the spine, evolved jaws, evolved limbs, eventually climbed onto land. Stand up straight, create civilization, the pressure to evolve along the way. Cornerstone. The shell is not solid. Its interior is divided into separate air chambers. A thin tube runs between the air chambers. It's called the body tube. By adjusting the ratio of liquid to gas in the air chamber to accurately control your buoyancy in the water. Sink as deep as you want. Rise as high as you want. Fully automatic, completely precise. This is a natural submarine counterweight system. Bill 7, it was there 10,000 years ago, and the first submarine that can truly fight. It was created in 1898 Nature. It was thought of nearly 500 million years earlier than humans. At that moment, when scientists write this comparison into a paper, there was a long silence in the entire laboratory. No one spoke. Then this invincible overlord, how did it disappear in the end? 443 million years ago, the Ordovician period came to an end. The reason is that the Gondwana supercontinent drifted in the direction of Antarctica. Global temperatures are dropping rapidly. Glaciers began to expand massively. Sea level in a very short geological time. It plummeted nearly 100 meters. The warm, shallow sea on which the cornerstones depended was gone. Not slowly getting smaller. It's just gone. This climate change caused the second largest extinction event in Earth's history. History calls it the mass extinction at the end of the Ordovician. Nearly 85% of marine species have disappeared in this disaster. The cornerstone is also among them, a dynasty that ruled for tens of millions of years. There is not even a record of the struggle. Only fossils are left all over the world, today in museums around the world, in the decorative window. Those black stones that have been sliced and polished to a shine. It is likely to be the cross-section of its shell, the overlord who once silenced the entire ocean. Today, it is cut by humans and sold as ornaments on the table. Sad, but there is also an inexplicable irony. But there is one last twist in the story. The cornerstone is dead, but it belongs to cephalopods. Two bloodlines survived the mass extinction. These two survivors later evolved into all the cephalopods in the ocean today. Nautilus, squid, octopus, squid. And then there's the squid you ate on the barbecue stall tonight with hot sauce. Its ancestors were once 470 million years ago, the most terrifying existence on this planet. You sprinkle it with cumin and bite down. The mouth is full of burnt fragrance. The descendants of the king fell here. What a joke nature played. Finally, I want to tell you something deeper. The story of the cornerstone is not just the rise and fall of an ancient monster. It hides a story about life, and even the cruel truth about human beings. There has never been a strong one in this world that is eternal. Cornerstones ruled the oceans for tens of millions of years, invincible in the world, but it completely zeroed in the face of a climate change that it could not predict or fight. And the little thing that picked up its residue alive. Instead, it evolved all the way to become the master of the earth today. Think about whether this is like the life of each of us. Those who once overwhelmed you. Opponents that make you feel like you can never surpass them. Those who stand at the top of the food chain and make you look up to it. Will they really be strong forever? And the pressure you are currently experiencing. Those predicaments that force you to retreat. Maybe it's quietly reshaping your bones. Forge your nerves, pushing you little by little in directions you could not have imagined yourself. Cornerstones disappeared for 400 million years, but what he left behind never disappeared. He stayed in the genes of every fish that survived. It remains in the memory of every ancestor who climbed onto land. It stayed in the shock you felt at the moment. It also remains in your instinct to grit your teeth desperately in the face of pressure. Extinction is never the end. The end of the strong is often the place where another life really begins. You are the answer that was forced out.